Frank, Jalil, and we got Josh, the Wolf of Broad Street.
Yes, sir.
Bucker.
The man, the myth, the legend.
Thank you. It's good to be here, fellas. Thanks for having me.
Hey, thanks for coming today. How you feeling? It's hot out there.
It is hot. It's a heat wave, but, what are you going to do?
Right. So usually how we start off, we just get a little background about our guest,
Great.
where they're from, upbringing, family,
Sure.
schooling, stuff like that. So tell the people a little bit about you, where you're from, and how it was growing up for you at a young age.
Of course. So I'm 37 now. I'm originally from Wissinoming, Mayfair area. My mom's from Kensington. My dad's from Frankfurt. She graduated from Little Flower. My dad graduated from North Catholic. Started off on Sanger Street, bounced to Mulberry Street and Erdrich Street. I went to St. Bart's Catholic school, only till second grade. My mom was a first grade teacher there. And then eventually at 8 years old, we moved to Sicklerville, New Jersey in Camden County.
Okay.
So it was a little different, than from the Catholic school to moving to Sicklerville and starting with the public school. I got a brother. He's a year and a half younger than me. Totally different route than me. He's a major in the Army.
Oh, wow.
He's in Fort Bragg in North Carolina right now. So I got a niece and a nephew, no kids myself. My partner, Bethany, in business and life. We've been together almost 5 years now. Yeah, the upbringing was good. My dad was a welder. My mom was a first grade teacher and, school teacher. So we had a good upbringing. When we moved to Sicklerville, it was like a relatively undeveloped town. Now it's like totally different. I don't know if y'all are familiar with Sicklerville at all.
Yeah, it's a nice area.
Yeah, it's popping, like, Cross Keys Road and all the developments going up there. But it was interesting. The neighborhood we grew up in was called Windham Hill. And there was like barely any houses around my neighborhood. It was all like new construction and like, all like, mounds of dirt and big holes and, things coming together. But it was a lot of young kids. So it was cool that I was able to, get out and make a lot of friends in the neighborhood. So that was a little bit about my early.
Yeah. So what was it like transitioning from like the city to going there? You had a suburban house, like neighbors, no houses attached, stuff like that.
Exactly. Yep.
So how was that transition?
It was cool.
Do you feel like you made it? Like your parents made it?
Yeah. They came so far from their upbringings, like really, modest and, poor upbringings to at least middle class. And eventually we got a swimming pool in our backyard, and they're retired now as of this year. So
they're still in Sicklerville?
No, they moved to Clayton, New Jersey, not too far from Sicklerville. Yep, but they're retired now. Like they did so well for themselves and provided for me and my brother. Nothing crazy, like, we weren't spoiled in any way. I started working when I was 14 years old and, haven't stopped since and always made my own money. But it was cool. My first, like, memory of, like, what was it, third grade in Sicklerville, it was like you're used to wearing Catholic school uniforms and, being surrounded by all white kids. And, like, Sicklerville was very diverse. It was, like, everybody from Philly and Camden whose parents could get out of those areas was kind of like moving to Sicklerville, New Jersey was cool. So it was like a big culture shock, honestly. I had big bifocal glasses. I was a total like scrawny nerd. I was getting bullied and stuff like that initially coming over.
In Philly or
not so much in Philly. I don't remember getting bullied in Philly, but coming to Sicklerville and entering the public school, like not knowing.
New kid, yeah.
Yeah, exactly, new kid. So I remember stepping in there. There was like one dirty redheaded kid, Tommy, and then we just like clicked, and that was my friend. And I remember being in the schoolyard. One of my first memories, like somebody threw the football up, grabbed the football, and then it was just like a pile on. I feel like I almost died. I saw my life flash before my eyes. But like that was my first like third grade experience. I'm like, what the
I went through that before.
You know what I mean? And you're just on the bottom and everybody's stacking up on top of you. But
claustrophobic. I want to be able to.
Yep.
What's some other struggles that you had to overcome, like from transitioning the way you did and moving out there with the bullying and stuff like that?
Yeah.
Like,
I think it was just like really finding a friends group, and I didn't really find a strong friends group from what I recall until I really like entered close to high school. Like it's really when I found like, my crew. It's like 13, 14 of us, and we still keep in touch from then. But yeah, like all through elementary school, 7th, 8th grade, kind of just like a loner, didn't really, have a whole lot of friends. But I was always a smart kid, always got straight A's. And then
Did you ever get in trouble in school, or you weren't that type of kid?
it was interesting. Like the kids I talk about, my crew from like high school, we actually all have the same tattoo and everything, KREW. We're still like really tight to this day. And what we would do in high school was, as far as like the partying scene and what we did after school and on the weekends, people would see me out and then see me still getting great grades in school. So I had like a good balance, from being able to maintain my school grades and, have fun and do all the crazy stuff too.
Were you throwing your own parties?
Yeah, we started throwing parties like, getting into 8th and 9th grade. Me and my boy Ray Jones, he grew up across the street from me. Okay. His dad he's a retired cop now, but at the time he like rented out a hall for us in Atco, New Jersey, and we were DJing and making beats and rapping and all types of stuff like around that time. And to be able to like throw a party when you're in 8th, 9th grade and, fill it out. Like I never hooked up with a girl before that night, but I hooked up with like 2 girls that night. So I was like,
that makes sense though. He knows about the promotion and everything, stuff like that.
Well, no,
too,
but I'm thinking of parties in New Jersey. I'm thinking of like Scream, or like the movie Scream, or American Pie. I'm thinking of like parties like that.
He's thinking about American Pie.
Yeah.
Stifler.
But like I'm assuming like the parties there are way different than we have basement parties here in row homes, and then there's probably like house parties, pool parties, and stuff.
Yeah, but it's not like you would think with the apple pie, and like it's not Princeton, New Jersey. It's not like I experienced that later when I went away to college in North Jersey. We could talk about that, like the nicer suburbs. But this was there was some farmland, so there were some farm parties which were kind of interesting. You know what I mean? Where maybe that kid's parents were out of town, you take over like the whole outside.
That was tipping cows.
No, not even no cows. It was just like cornfields and stuff like that. But yeah, we got in some trouble and fights and just young, dumb, and reckless stuff.
So that brings me to the podcast Streets to Success, right?
Yeah.
People think that you have to be from the streets to get on the podcast, or you have to be go to jail to get on the podcast. When like we're all from the streets or around the streets. Like your parents are probably from the streets more than you. You said your dad's from Kensington and whatnot. You lived in Wissinoming, which is not a great neighborhood. And even like when you go to Jersey, like there's still a lot of trouble to get into. There's things that. So what do you think that either you slipped through the cracks, or do you think like you intentionally did things so you didn't get involved in that life? Because there's still a lot of crime that goes on over there and things that you could have fell into.
Yeah.
What did you do to stay away from that?
I tried to keep like just a solid head on my shoulders and, try to stay focused on what my ultimate goals was. Like I was the first dude out of my group to go away to college. I always wanted to do that, and eventually I was able to do that. My parents kind of let me do what I wanted, but with like in the back of their head, they're like, you're going to learn from your mistakes anyway. So it wasn't like I had like a really strict curfew or I had to like really, be too...
They didn't have to hold your hand too much.
Exactly, yeah. But my brother, like he was the one a year and a half younger than me that was really just like into video games and whatever, Harry Potter and all that stuff. I totally wasn't about that. We had the same friends group until we hit the age of, about 14 when I met my other group of friends and started drinking, smoking, and partying all the time and all that stuff,
So transitioning into high school.
Yep.
What do you plan on doing with if you have a plan on doing with your life at that point? You talked about college. Did you know you were going to go to college? Did you have a career path in mind at that time, or?
I wanted to be an audio engineer. So I was like in the TV productions all through high school. 9th through 12th grade. I was the audio guy, so I was setting up the mics. I was playing like the...
Bro, this whole time you could have been giving me a hand.
It's been a really long time, but you seem to have it under control here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But yeah, that's what I wanted to do. Audio engineering. I wanted to be in the recording studios and working with artists and things like that. My boy Ray Jones, my best friend, he's a very successful recording artist now in San Diego, and we started, together living across the street from each other in Sicklerville, and we would just lock ourselves in. He had a basement studio with just like turntables and equipment, and I had stuff in my bedroom, and keyboards, beat machines, 4-track recorder, microphones, just like all the essentials. And we would just make music from scratch, and we would have other neighborhood kids come through, and even like adults, like, you know, young adults coming through to the studio just to, you know, record and put.
What do you think steered you away from that? Like having that dream?
Yeah, we had a mobile DJ business too. So even before we were able to drive, our parents were driving us around to gigs, and we were just, you know, doing.
At what age is this?
This is, I was, you know, 15, 16, and I did that all the way up to college. So it was always like music and events. And at 14, I was a pot washer at a banquet facility with 4 banquet halls, and just, you know, doing all the dishes and, you know, setting up the rooms, and eventually, you know, got keys to the place and just was responsible for, you know,
Like a management
yeah,
position.
You know,
as a
it's
really young
crazy.
guy, you know what I mean? So it was
Like-
always events in one way or another.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Like how everything is tied in.
Yeah.
Like he threw parties, you were
Yep.
DJing, you were working at banquet halls,
Yep.
and then what you do now is like
Yeah.
everything is tied into
Yeah,
one.
it
So
all
it's
came
like,
back.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's why you're so good
I
at what
can't-
you do now.
Yeah.
And I can't wait
thank
to
you.
get into that.
Yeah.
It's-
Yeah.
I love what you do. So you graduate high school,
Yep. 05, Winslow Township High School, Akron, New Jersey. Yep.
and at this point you had any scholarships, or were you just like
Yeah.
looking at going to college?
I did get a half scholarship to a private school, Fairleigh Dickinson University in North Jersey. So, yeah, I was able
Full,
to.
you said full?
I was a half scholarship on academics.
Okay.
Yeah, but it was a big help because I couldn't afford it otherwise.
Yeah.
But between the loans and the scholarship we got there,
And what was your major in there?
finance.
Finance?
So I went in there thinking I was going to be the Wolf of Wall Street, you know, like a finance guy, you know,
Financial advisor,
yeah,
stocks.
Yeah. But, you know,
How long? So did you graduate? From
I did.
college?
Yeah. I mean, had some struggles the first semester, like kind of like you guys can imagine, like getting started early when you're 14, like with the party scene. A lot of kids go away to college and try to figure it out, but I felt like I grew up really fast through high school and whatnot. I had affiliated and aligned myself with all like the party kids the first semester of freshman year. I had the scholarship, which means you need to keep a 3.0, you know, average GPA. I got a 2.3 my first semester, and in order to make it up, I needed, you know, 3.8 the second semester.
To average it out.
Yeah, and then all my friends from that first semester fell off and dropped out. I was left. I found a girlfriend, straightened myself out, got that 3.8, 3.9, just barely made it. My dad looked at me like, "You're a dumbass, but you made it. Just you keep going." Like,
Yeah.
but I remember him like clicking the refresh on the computer, like, is he, you know, finding the grades out?
Yeah.
And I made it, and then I didn't turn back. I graduated, you know, with, you know, honors from college eventually in 09,
So-
4 years, same college. Had a chance to study abroad, did a, you know, semester in the UK, which was really cool. So that was one of the best, you know, experiences of the college, you know.
So after you graduated college, what was the next move right after that?
Yeah, so I was still messing with, you know, Ray Jones and, you know, the music stuff, and we actually went, and this is crazy. My parents had given me a car towards the end of college, like junior into like senior year. I went ahead and sold that car and downgraded it, took the cash, and with another group of friends, well, same group, we went down to Ventnor, New Jersey, and bought a shore house for a year. And like the landlord accepted us. He's like, "You understand this is not a summer lease. Like, this is a full year." Needless to say, like, we didn't make it past the summer. We had to like back out of the lease and figure it out. But it was like the Animal House. It was on Victoria Ave in Ventnor, right by the beach, a big pink castle.
Now, was this like the American Pie scene?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, that's crazy. It was,
Dang, Frank,
yeah,
where was we at?
it was just nonstop. But, you know, it was 09. I had a degree in finance. The economy was shot. It was hard to get
And
a
what-
job. And
I was going to ask you that. What was like your means of finances then?
yeah, so I got my real estate license after college at night. I was, you know, got the license at night, but I was working in hotels and doing landscaping and doing all types of stuff to pay
Odd
the
and
bills.
ends just to get the bills. Yeah.
Yep. And then I did timeshare sales with that real estate license in Atlantic City for Wyndham. Did like, you know, the it was like almost 6 months training, paid training. And then I just felt like so sleazy trying to sell these timeshares to people and sell people the dream of like, you know, vacation ownership and stuff like that. I wasn't really feeling it. I made one sale and I was just like, you had to do
It's
something
crazy
different.
because I see commercials all the time where it's like, are you locked in a
Get out
timeshare
of
that
it.
you
Yeah,
can't get out of?
I know. Yeah.
And I never even heard about timeshares
Yeah.
or whatever until I got older.
Yeah. Yep. But I put that down and then just stuck with the landscaping and the music. We were doing shows in Wildwood and here and there, and the lease fell apart. And I just was constantly looking for a better opportunity. You know, I found a job on Craigslist. I swear I owe Craigslist a lot of money, just like all the opportunities that I've ever found on Craigslist growing up. But it was a job as a credit consultant for a small mom and pop company in Old City, Philadelphia.
And you were living in Jersey at this time?
I moved I moved to Philly. My boy Jeremy had a house, 25th and Perrott Street in Fairmount, Art Museum area. He had an extra bedroom / office. It was, you know, super tiny, small office where like the futon hit both sides of the wall when you lay it out. Yeah, it's paying $300 a month, and I did that for a year. And I took the bus to work at 2nd and Chestnut, back and forth, and
Grinding
I was,
it out.
you know, getting paid just, you know,
Regular
a
paycheck.
draw like
grind.
300, but it was all commissions. But you had like a draw like $300 a week, and some weeks that's all you got, and other weeks you got $2K, and just depending on what the situation was. But that's where I started with the Philly real estate industry.
At this point, did you feel like, all right, you had a lot going on in college, a lot going on with your DJing stuff, you're getting that off the ground, and then you go back to like you're living with your friend. You're a little bit older now, so you probably feel like, all right, I need to figure out what I want to do with my life.
Yeah. Yep.
This is like how you're starting to really think and plan, like, what's my next steps to
Totally.
get out of here, like this little room.
Yes. Yep.
It's like a prison in itself.
Yeah. Yep. And just, you know, one foot in front of the other, trying not to take any steps backwards. I got my own apartment at 11th and South Street. And then, you know, a couple years later, I moved to Manayunk for 2 years with a friend of mine, and eventually moved to Old City, where I'm at now for the past, you know, 6-7 years.
So what was it internally and like that self-talk that kept you going?
I've always, you know, valued being my own boss since, you know, and even having a boss, but being a 1099 and responsible, like eat what you kill type of thing. I just always been a guy that values his, you know, his freedom and his ability to make his own schedule and have a good week.
Not have a ceiling on yourself.
Yeah, I like the idea of having, you know, a good week. As many like bad weeks as it's going to be, like you're going to have some like really good weeks, and, you know, be able to leverage your time and, you know, and enjoy life and just keep your opportunities open. I've done, you know, crazy things for money and dodged a lot of trouble, and, you know, to be able to say, okay, this is easy. I'm a credit repair guy. I'm helping people, you know, improve their credit scores, qualify for mortgages. It just felt good. It allowed me to get out there and network and build relationships with realtors and loan officers and all types of real estate industry professionals, and started being recognized later. You know, 2016, we started the Wolf of Broad Street real estate events, but you know, you identify your lane, you start carving it, and you start digging deep into it, and, you know, start figuring it out. And, you know.
Yeah. So it's crazy how it's all tying in, right?
Yep.
So you got audio and video back in school. You know, you're throwing parties, you're DJing. Now you're getting your real estate license, and it's all kind of intertwined with what you're doing now.
Yeah.
So you found your niche,
Yep.
right? First off, did you sell any houses when you were doing the real estate? Did you ever
No,
sell?
but that was a New Jersey real estate license
Okay.
originally, and it's reciprocal, so I was able to get my PA. That was after the credit repair. I did 4 years apartment listings, so I never did residential sales, but I was a big time like apartment listing machine for some time. You know, so I built off it. It was like credit repair. Okay, let me get my Pennsylvania real estate license and start doing apartment listings, and it was like, again, you find a way to stand out and do something a little bit different than what everybody else is doing. There's 18,000 licensed real estate salespeople in Philadelphia alone. Most of them aren't doing any business. But I went out there and I identified a hustle where it was, you know, drive the streets, find the shittiest like for rent by owner signs with like a marker on it, and it looks like the owner's just trying to do it themselves, and call them up, tell them you don't got to change anything you're doing in your efforts to find a qualified tenant. Let us back you up, market the property, show the property. 8 times out of 10, we were able to find a qualified tenant before they could. And then we would get our 1 month's rent. And we would just kept doing that, building up a book of business so that, when that lease was up, they were calling us again to, book it.
And if they had multiple properties, hey, well, I got this property over here, I got this duplex,
exactly.
I got another.
I got 32 properties, I got 32 units.
Yep.
And you would never know based on their little.
Do you still do that?
No, yeah. But I, started out with the Philly apartment company at 2nd and Arch, and then I was with TCS Management at 2nd and Chestnut for some time, and made a lot of good contacts and made good money. I was able to probably do about 12 leases per month, which is
Good.
decent,
Getting 12 rents a month.
Yeah,
First month.
Yeah, yep.
So what is it that you do now, and how does everything intertwine to what you got going on now? Because I know you do a lot, really in the real estate realm. That's why it's crazy. And then even on social media, which goes back to Craigslist, you owe Craigslist. Now we just owe social media, right?
Exactly.
Because it's branching everything together.
And we didn't have social media growing up. I was one of the first people to get Facebook because it was you had to be going away to college to actually.
It was a Facebook. I mean, it was a college app before. I think.
Right. So I graduated high school in 05, and I was getting into Facebook, and look how far we've come since then. It's crazy. And to be able to leverage social media now, I don't regret. I remember the internet used to come through the mailbox with a free trial type of SOL with the disc.
I remember that too,
the dial up and all that stuff. So I think we're the last generation who experienced that. I feel like
Yeah. So what if you're people listening? What is it that you exactly do?
Yes, so I'm the
Today.
founder and CEO of Wolf of Broad Street Real Estate Events and Consulting. We're a marketing and events platform in the real estate industry. I'm not a real estate guy per se, but I'm a events and marketing guy in the real estate space. Previous to this year, I ran magazines for 5 years, Philadelphia and Bucks County Real Producers Magazine, but it was a franchise, and it was always the publisher paying the checks to Wolf of Broad Street Real Estate Events anyway, because I've been doing the events since 2016, and basically we run our own events, real estate industry happy hours, and panel speaker events, and golf tournaments, and awards galas, and all types of real estate industry stuff. And we also do corporate event strategy for private clients too. So people can call us and we'll help them to basically plan, promote, and execute their vision for their own events too. Multiple hustles though, multiple different lanes, all going the same direction. We have Wolf of Broad Street billboard trucks running at all the concerts and sporting events. That's guerrilla marketing, just pumping ads in front of 40,000 people going into the stadium districts.
Love that idea too. By the way, it's a great idea.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It's always been, guerrilla marketing though. When I was doing credit repair and I was taking that bus from Fairmount to Old City, I used to have a bright orange box that I made. It said, "Don't be a sucker, get your credit repaired," or something like that. And I would be on SEPTA bus with blow pops with my business card on it, just going up and down the aisles, handing them out. I would stop at City Hall where, the subway stairs, escalator comes up, and I would just be handing them out there, just always
hustling
and just finding ways to just stay
relevant,
in front of people.
get your name out there.
Exactly. Yeah.
So do you ever see yourself expanding into something else, as far as the other than real estate?
Maybe, but real estate's really so much going on that it's enough to keep you busy. There's so many mortgage and title and home inspection companies and all types of affiliates, and you go down to Triple Play, Atlantic City in December. It's the greater Northeast, Mid-Atlantic, tens of thousands of real estate professionals there. There's just so much opportunity and money, and for us to be able to pull people together through events and marketing and social media. We'll dabble with other industries, but I feel real estate's kind of where it's at for us.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it all ties back with the people that you bring together. It's you're connecting people. You're connecting a real estate agent with a lender. You're connecting a mortgage person with a contractor for inspections to pass. I think it all plays together with what you're trying to do. Maintenance people to maintenance houses, turnovers. So I think your niche is like good enough to where you won't have to get into promoting rappers or musicians or nothing. Like I think the real estate stuff's going to keep you busy.
People look at me like I'm a club promoter for real estate events. You know what I mean? Like I used to go to DocuCare on North Broad Street and get club flyers printed out for real estate industry happy hours and drop them off to like every office, every brokerage. It's like always been a way to get past the gatekeeper and break the ice to be able to step into a situation where you're not asking for anything or selling anything. You're just inviting people to come to your event, and that's like where the magic happens right there.
Yeah. I got a question. Well, for Broad Street, like with the power of social media, like do you have a strategic plan in place to keep growing your brand on the internet? Because that's where like a lot of traction comes, right?
Yeah.
Word of mouth is great, but the internet is the king right now.
Totally.
Do you have a growth strategy in mind to like, I don't know how many followers you got, like 10,000 or something, like to get to 20, 30, 50,000 followers? Are you even like if you look at your insights, like how many people are you reaching with each post? Like, do you have anything in line to start boosting or promoting more even?
Yeah, I mean, like we're developing a new marketing program called the Wolf of Broad Street Wolf Pack, where eventually we'll represent 100 different companies in different industry categories with a limited number of spots in each category, where it basically involves, unlimited ad design for our clients, unlimited access to all of our events where you're not, having to register or pay tickets, strategic introductions, and I'm just like a walk and talk in bearded billboard for my clients. And to be able to represent that many clients and be like the hub for it, it's only going to help us to continue to grow our following and our reach, through other people. It's just, you're not going to be able to do it on your own, but being able to help and to leverage other people's networks, it automatically helps to, expand on yours. So activity creates activity. So, the more people we're involved with and the more events that we're doing and, the more things that we have to promote, it just, naturally going to just continue to grow organically.
Do you think you ever gonna have to change the name from the Wolf of Broad Street if you ever expand to different cities?
I hope not, because I feel like almost every major city has a Broad Street.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, you're right.
I've heard, we have Wolf of Broad Street 215.com now, but who's to say we won't be Wolf of Broad Street 504.com in New Orleans or whatever it may be.
So is that the goal? To get like
eventually.
city, have a division or maybe not a franchise, but in each city.
Yeah, it's a very duplicatable process. We have all the systems and process together. Frank, I remember our original coffee meeting. You're a very systems oriented guy, and if you're going to do things more than a few times, you might as well have like a system in place to be able to duplicate that. And for years, my New Year's resolution or just constant reminder is automate, delegate, and regulate. You're going to automate the systems and processes. You're going to delegate them to the right people, and then you're just going to regulate and fine tune those to continue to improve it. And if we can do it in Philly with the power of social media, you can do it in really any city too.
Yeah. How would you find those agents? Because I think like a good thing is you're from the city, so a lot of the top producing agents or the popular agents, or how would you go about that in different cities? I mean, internet search or
it's all data, and there's expensive subscriptions out there that a lot of big title companies and mortgage companies are tapped into, and I have access to across the country, where you can see the total volume production for all the agents and identify the top 5% who are doing the majority of the production and start there. You know what I mean? It's all about data. We have over 15,000 real estate industry professionals in the Philly area, and we just built that up through gathering data, but mostly, all the, registrations that are coming through from our events and all that good stuff, and people opting in.
You got?
Go ahead. Frank.
No, I was just going to ask you, what is some things that you really love about this, and then what's something that you're like, this is like just getting on my nerves, but you got to live with it because like it's part of the business.
Yeah, I mean, if events weren't so expensive and risky, it would be a lot easier. But every event, I feel like you really got to be prepared to deal with things coming up or falling through, or having to come out of pocket to make things right sometimes. So it's a very expensive, risky business, which sometimes gets frustrating, and sometimes I look at myself in the mirror like, what are you doing? Why don't you just go get a job? And, you know, that's what my parents would always tell me younger, like, just get a job, you know, get a pension, figure it out. But that was never my lane. And
So it was like the unpredictability of stuff,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
And then like expecting and then unexpected things happen. What is like one thing that you like absolutely love about the business that you do?
Basically like the feedback and the stories that I hear of you know, people that have consistently come to the events over the last, you know, 8+ years, and all the you know, business that they've passed, friends that they've made, friends become, you know, family, and now they're going on vacations and checking into all these restaurants and having a good time. And it's all like, you know, they're like, how did we ever even get here? Then they trace it back and like, oh, that was a Wolf of Broad Street event, or this or that. So
Connecting people.
You know, I
know that feels good.
It does. It's cool. It's powerful. It all comes back, you know. So, and it doesn't cost anything. Like, you know, starting out with no money and, you know, keeping my ears open, going to every single networking event that I possibly could, and just, you know, listening more than I talk, and trying to hear what people need that are doing better than me, and how can I help them do better, which is automatically going to, you know, get me paid and get me ahead, and, you know, open up doors for me. You know.
Speaking of connecting people, do you know any club owners?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh
absolutely.
yeah. Me and Frankie was thinking about getting into stripping. So.
Not me. I don't got the body for it. You do.
Our first event started out at a bar that's not there anymore. It was called the Bridge Philly 100 Spring Garden, in the same plaza as Delilah's and Z Bar, and we started out at the Bridge. It's now my dry cleaner.
And there's actually Quinn Oaks there too.
Yep. Partner Pat Lopez down at Queen Oak, and there's a Remax down there. Yeah. So we started right there at the Bridge, and we would go over to Z Bar after, and then the after party of that would be Delilah's.
So what's the, you know, we're halfway through the year 2024. What's the rest of 2024 look like for you? And any events or anything you got going on if people are listening?
Yeah, I think I got about 7 events going right now, all coming up between you know, now and October. So we have our 5th annual 9-hole scramble and social coming up at the Philmont Country Club. We have a back to school for realtors event. We have a heat wave happy hour right around the corner at Crickwater, and thank you for your support for that. But it's really focusing on building up the Wolf of Broad Street Wolf Pack. We just launched this last month. We signed 2 clients today, which brings us to 9 out of our 100 already after 1 month. And
what are I just want to give people some insight on that. What are some of the things like you're looking for to partner with, and what value can you add to this? Because, you know, I'll post this little clip and share it on social media, so this way it could be beneficial to you as well.
Totally.
So what are you looking for, and what type of value can you bring?
Yeah, we in past years have sometimes represented up to, for example, 20 different mortgage companies between Philly and Bucks, and I feel like that kind of watered down the value of being able to properly represent companies. So we're limiting the number of spots in each category to provide the most value to the clients. And a good fit for us is, you know, basically somebody that's going to take advantage of the access to the events and the professional introductions, isn't going to let a professional introduction get lost in their inbox or not follow up and answer. Just be ready to kind of keep up with us, come out to the events, network, get creative with your, you know, ad designers every single month. And basically, we're like a mini marketing department for our clients too. So the ideal client for us, honestly, thinking about it, is kind of like not big companies, but somebody who doesn't have a dedicated marketing team, or is like, you know, getting into more blue collar workers. Like we, you know, work with, you know, you and Joe Kennedy and, you know, Henny and Dry Docks and KC and Aqua Plumbing. And we're really like finding that we can provide a lot of value to, you know, tradesmen and blue collar workers who are really good at their job, but don't really have the time, the energy, or like the, you know, it really interest in the social media marketing and stuff. They'll get out and network, which is cool. And y'all love it, which is great. So, yeah, we can really fill in a lot of the gaps that, you know, small to medium sized business owners tend to.
Yeah, I feel like it's like adding value. Like you know, I can add value to a realtor, a mortgage person can add value to a realtor can add value to. So that's what it's really
It all
about. The
comes
value
full
add.
circle.
Yeah, it's like the value add. Like,
Yeah.
so it's definitely beneficial. I did some stuff with Josh. Met a lot of good people.
Yep.
Had some fun at the events. It's
Yep.
always a good time.
Great
And other
events.
things too. I mean, Jalil, you mentioned outside of real estate, you know, my partner Bethany and I are really big into travel. We just started a YouTube channel, Beth Buck Travel. Fourth quarter of last year, we did 50 days in Southeast Asia, where we went to Thailand and Vietnam and back to Thailand and documented it all. We're finally getting around to editing them and posting those up. And
That's tough.
You gotta make TikToks, dude.
TikToks for
You
sure.
gotta
yeah.
go on TikTok.
Yeah, definitely. Got a couple, you know, beard competitions in the works and stuff
Yeah.
like that. You know what I mean? It's just got to have fun and take advantage of opportunities.
So we talked about the rest of this year. What about the rest of life? How's it look for you?
Yeah.
I mean, you might not see that far ahead, but the next
Yep.
couple years or so.
Yeah, I mean, I'm 37 now. I'd like to just, you know, continue to work hard, travel, build up Wolf of Broad Street, Wolf Pack. Eventually,
Any kids?
I have no aspirations of having kids. You know what I mean? Just not really my thing. And luckily, my Beth is on the same page. So you know, if we don't have it, it'll be fine with us.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then you know, still like everything's being reinvested back into our business right now. So we haven't even like got into real estate investing and, you know, buying houses and nice cars and things like that. We're just really just
Well,
like,
if you
getting
do, you
something
have
like that.
all
Plenty
the
of
contacts
exactly. Yeah, totally.
to
Yeah.
execute.
So you see yourself eventually getting to that? Though?
Yeah,
Oh,
I would definitely like that. Yep, for sure. You know, eventually, you know, retire.
What ti-
I mean,
what age?
I talk to like, you know, real estate agents. I'm like, do y'all ever retire? Because I see like some are like 70, 80 years old still doing their
Selling
thing and
houses,
stuff like
yeah.
that. So, yeah, I would think like, you know, 50, 55, a little early retirement vibe.
We'll have someone running Wolf of Broad Street still,
Yeah,
and you like step away.
yeah. I mean, you set it all up, find the right people to do it, and you know, just really build it out that way. You know.
You had anything?
Just keep hollering at the moon, man. You're the wolf, man. It's only up, man.
No, it was great having you here. Glad we can make it happen.
Thank you.
Hopefully, you know, everyone tunes in to what Josh got going on. It's going to keep growing, I think. It's
Yeah.
a beautiful thing. I love the idea of it. If I had the time, I would probably start doing my own events and
Yeah.
stuff like that.
Yeah. Well, that's what we're here for too. We can back you up on anything you want to bring to life.
Yeah, and we're going to talk about that too. Me and Lil got something in the works. We ain't going to talk about it yet, but Josh hopefully is a part of it, can help us out. Anything else you want to tell anybody? Your social medias, your website, stuff like that, any way to contact
Yeah,
you?
check out our website, wolfofbroadstreet215.com. I'm on Instagram at wolfofbroadstreet, Facebook Josh Buchter. Reach out anytime. Anything I could do to help or connect. Pretty resourceful and like to think I got a guy or girl for whatever anybody's needs.
Yeah, and pop out there to the events. You'll see, like, you know, it's a good vibe, good food, good music, good people. I try to make it anytime I come, and I appreciate you for coming today, Josh.
Of course. Thanks for
Thank
having me. My pleasure.
Thanks.
Thanks, y'all.